Meanwhile, Dae-ki meets with Sarah to report that the hard drive has been successfully destroyed. Being deeply saddened by his brother's situation, he asks Sarah if she can hug him. At that moment, Ji-jun comes to see Sarah with a gift, which is a nice pair of shoes, and sees this scene, mistakenly thinking that Dae-ki and Sarah are dating. Ji-jun feels sad and quietly leaves. Dae-ki then reveals to Sarah that he is the one who had received an organ donation from her while she was in prison, and that is the reason he comes to work at Solution. In the meantime, Ji-jun, feeling sad because he thinks Sarah likes Dae-ki, goes out drinking to drown his sorrows. Sarah calls him, but he makes excuses for being busy. The next day, he goes to the office and sees Dae-ki and Sarah being close, which makes him even more jealous. Yul-song comes up with an idea and discusses with his mother that they need to find a way to change the election system from party members to a public vote, and to use tricks to gain public support. Yul-song meets with Ji-in and informs her that he knows about her secret video. He uses it to threaten her, but this time not for a divorce but to force her to obediently follow his plan. He also promises to help her dad. Ji-in calls Sarah but has to hang up immediately because Yul-song takes her with him to an election rally. He orchestrates a surprise attack on Ji-in and then steps in to protect her, getting injured in the process. This act wins him public support for being a brave man who protects his wife, even when her father is a criminal. Sarah and Ji-jun go to the hospital to confront him and demand justice for Ji-in, but this time Ji-in says she no longer wants a divorce and will stay with Yul-song. Sarah feels that something is wrong, but Ji-jun says that if Ji-in has made up her mind like that, they should let her decide for herself. Sarah invites Ji-jun for a drink, but he declines, and she leaves disheartened to go home. In time, Kang Byom and Dae-ki have found the kidnappers' hideout, but when they arrive, the kidnappers have already fled. Feeling frustrated due to the lack of progress, everyone in the office decides to go out for a meal except for Secretary Jang. At the restaurant, Ji-jun learns that Dae-ki and Sarah are not dating and feels much relieved. The next day, Kang Byom and Dae-ki finally locate the kidnappers when the police arrest them for prostitution. Although the kidnapper refuses to confess that he was hired by Yul-song to kidnap Ji-in, they find evidence on his phone. Meanwhile, Yul-song turns against Ji-in and declares to the entire country that he will not assist in exonerating his father-in-law and will prevent him from being released on bail. This angers Ji-in, leading her to leave the television station. Kang Byom and Dae-ki, watching from outside, informs Sarah and Ji-jun. Sarah thinks this is the perfect time for them to help Ji-in divorce Yul-song. They attend his election campaign rally, and Sarah exposes the schemes he has employed against his wives. Although Yul-song quickly has his men remove them, what Sarah says is recorded and shared on social media. Yul-song goes to Solution to meet Sarah and threatens her for tarnishing his image. Sarah dares him to sue because it would reveal his kidnapping of Sarah and his plan to kidnap Ji-in. He demands she participate in an interview to deny the allegations. Sarah says she will comply if he agrees to divorce Ji-in with appropriate compensation, otherwise she won't. Yul-song then threatens Sarah with Seo-yeon, at which point Ji-jun barges in and forces Yul-song to leave. Later, Sarah meets with Ji-in and urges her to leave Yul-song. However, Ji-in hesitates because Yul-song holds leverage over her. Sarah mentions there is still a way to liberate Ji-in. The next day, at a press conference, Yul-song tries to clear the rumors and makes Ji-in speak to verify his claims. Instead, she confirms everything Sarah said was true, including his kidnapping and threats towards Ji-in. This causes Yul-song to be disgraced in front of the press and on live television, leading to a sharp decline in his poll numbers. The next day, Ji-jun meets with Professor Seo Woong-jin's assistant, Choi Hong-jin. Professor Seo was supervising Yumi's thesis and was the last person to speak with her on the phone before she died. Hong-jin mentioned that Professor Seo was shocked to hear about Yumi's accident, but not to the extent that he would attempt suicide over it. Later, Ji-jun visits Yumi's grandfather, where he learns that Yumi had a second phone. Ji-jun brings the phone back to Solution, and Dae-ki manages to unlock it. It turns out to be the secret phone Yumi used to contact Yul-song, filled with pictures of her with Yul-song. Meanwhile, Yul-song's party completely loses the election following his scandal with his two wives. Furious, Yul-song calls Sarah to a building scheduled for demolition to negotiate visiting rights for Seo-yeon, offering 500,000 won if she withdraws from the lawsuit. Sarah flatly refuses. Yul-song then pushes Sarah down and starts choking her. However, his assistant stops him, and they leave, locking Sarah inside. Fortuitously, lightning strikes the building's antenna, and the building catches fire. Fortunately, Ji-jun arrives in time to rescue Sarah. He carries her out of the burning building and calls the fire department. Gi Jun carries Sarah on his back home and promises to protect her. The next day, Secretary Jang enters Gi Jun's office and finds a photo of Yul-song and Yumi. She searches through Gi Jun's notes and gets caught, but she claims she was just fixing a document and leaves. In her room, she looks up Yumi's accident and during lunch, she tells Yul-song that Gi Jun is gathering information about him. Thinking that Gi Jun and Sarah are trying to catch him, Yul-song agrees to sign the divorce papers with Ji-in and pay the compensation. The day after, Gi Jun goes to Yul-song's office to get his signature and warns him not to harm Sarah, or he won't leave him alone, as he will soon be Sarah's boyfriend. Chairman Cha, Yul-song's father, barges into the solution office and slaps both Sarah and Ji-in. But for some reason, Sarah doesn't dare to retaliate. The next couple solution has to deal with is Choi La-hee and Kong Chul, a famous couple on social media. They met through an online dating show. The husband is talented but unfortunately becomes paralyzed from the waist down after a traffic accident, yet he starts a successful venture capital business. The wife is a content creator, mainly focusing on their life and how she takes care of her husband. However, the wife wants a divorce due to her husband's jealous and controlling behavior. Unexpectedly, the wife used to date Gi Jun, making his involvement awkward. Sarah senses something off with this woman, especially her apparent flirtation with Gi Jun. Then, they watch La-hee's latest video and see her still lovingly caring for her husband as if nothing happened. Moreover, Sarah notices that the husband constantly has injuries in most of the videos. The reason for the divorce she provides is rather weak because Kong Chul seems to pamper her a lot. The next day, they meet with the husband to discuss the divorce. La-hee says her husband became jealous after seeing a photo of her with Gi Jun from when they were dating, but Kong Chul has no idea who Gi Jun is. Moreover, La-hee also has dinner weekly with the person who donates the most money on her social media. Initially, Kong Chul is suspicious, but after hearing his wife's explanation, he immediately trusts La-hee. At this point, Sarah and Gi Jun pay closer attention to the burn marks on Kong Chul's arm. They inquire about his other injuries, but Kong Chul simply says that because he can't move easily, he often ends up injuring himself. As they leave the house, La-hee returns and acts affectionately towards Gi Jun in front of Sarah. Gi Jun leaves soon after and reminds La-hee to stop behaving inappropriately towards him. It turns out La-hee was hired by Yul-song to create trouble and drive a wedge between Sarah and Gi Jun. That evening, La-hee sneaks into the solution office and flirts with Gi Jun. Seeing Sarah approaching Gi Jun's office, she rushes to hug him so Sarah would see. Gi Jun quickly pushes her away and tells her to leave, but Sarah had already walked away and did not see this, leading her to believe there might be something between Gi Jun and La-hee. La-hee calls to report the situation to Yul-song and is caught by Sarah, who declares that they will not only refuse to help La-hee divorce her husband but will instead sue her for domestic violence. La-hee threatens Sarah with a pen but then leaves. Sarah returns and shares the incident with Gi Jun, and they decide to handle La-hee's divorce case but this time to protect her husband. The team at Solution convenes and suspects that La-hee suffers from Munchausen syndrome and enjoys harming her husband while pretending to care for him. Feeling that La-hee disrespects their marriage, Kong Chul wants to talk to her, but she pushes him down and is only concerned about her belongings scattered on the floor. When Sarah and Gi Jun visit him, they find him on the ground. He also doesn't understand how his wife can afford such expensive designer bags, given the income from her social media isn't that high. Despite everything, he doesn't want to divorce her. They realize that La-hee is likely having affairs, possibly with those who donate a lot of money to her on social media. So, they disguise themselves as fans and bid to meet her. They win and get the chance to dine with La-hee. Dae-ki pretends to be a young professor at the date, and his nervous and awkward demeanor intrigues La-hee. During the meal, La-hee suggests a game where Dae-ki writes down what he wants to do with her, and she writes down a price. This conversation is recorded, and Sarah and Gi Jun play it for Kong Chul. He is deeply disappointed in his wife and admits that La-hee has been injuring him to create content for her videos. Despite everything, Kong Chul still refuses to divorce because of his insecurities and the desire for a semblance of a happy life. Sarah encourages him, saying that divorce isn't the end of the world and it's better than living with someone who abuses him. The next day, on their third wedding anniversary, to increase view, La-hee hires actors to stage a dramatic scene of getting caught cheating. The night before, Solution had discussed a plan with Kong Chul and replaced the fake actors with the real wife of the man La-hee was having an affair with. La-hee is beaten up but still cares only about the views. She tries to make Kong Chul speak up to defend her, but instead, he says they should get a divorce. At this moment, Lahi discovers that the solution team has been at her anniversary from start to finish, helping Kongchul expose the truth about her. She grabs a kettle of boiling water and lunges towards Sarah, but Kongbam quickly takes her down. She is promptly arrested for domestic violence, and Sarah encourages Kongchul to cheer up and turn his wedding anniversary into a divorce party. The next day, Sarah visits Jian, who has started a new life and is determined to become a florist. Jian also hands Sarah a file on Yul-song held by her father. Meanwhile, Yul-song and his 5-member society had bribed to ensure a law school bill would pass. While he celebrates, he learns that Lahi has been imprisoned by Sarah and Ji-jun's relationship has grown stronger. Yul-song warns Sarah to be careful with Ji-jun, claiming his approach was for investigating Professor Seo's case. Sarah meets with a friend still working for Chairman Cha, and she reveals the 5-member society to Sarah. They are a group looking to change laws to build Chayul Town under the guise of an educational project and develop the area cheaply. Professor Seo is one of them. Sarah confronts Ji-jun about this, reading his notebook and seeing his name linked with Yul-song. She feels that Ji-jun's intentions for joining Solution are not simple and feels used. She suggests ending their relationship and walks away. Ji-jun follows. Then they see Yul-song approaching. To provoke Yul-song, Sarah turns back and kisses Ji-jun.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe and like for more videos like this.